Somewhere in your house, right now, there's a hole the size of a brick cut into the wall near your foundation. You have never seen it because it is not actually one hole. It is a dozen small gaps spread across the entire perimeter of your basement, and added together they equal a 36 square inch opening in the side of your house. Cold air pours through it 24 hours a day, every day of the winter, while your furnace runs itself into an early grave trying to keep up. The Department of Energy estimates that air leaks in this one specific area account for up to 25% of all the air infiltration in your entire home. More than your doors, more than your windows, more than the attic hatch you thought was the problem. The fix is $10 of foam from the hardware store. You can finish it in an afternoon. The part of the house this happens in is called the rim joist. If you have ever gone down to your basement to change a furnace filter, grab a tool, or check a breaker panel, you have looked right at it. It is the horizontal band of wood sitting on top of your concrete foundation wall, right where the basement ceiling meets the basement walls. It runs the entire perimeter of your house. In most unfinished basements, it is fully exposed. No drywall, no paint, no covering. Just wood, concrete, and the seams between them. Those seams are the biggest air leak in your house. Here is why this matters for the house you are actually living in right now. Every cold floor in your kitchen in February, every draft you could never quite locate, every winter your furnace ran longer than it should have, your gas bill came in higher than it should have been, and you wondered why. A meaningful share of that traces to one place, a band of wood you have never thought about, letting cold outside air leak directly into your basement while you sleep, while you work, while the furnace runs a marathon against a race it was never designed to lose. The Department of Energy number is 25%, but that is a modeled estimate. What happens when someone actually measures it in a real house? In 2007, a manufacturer called Handy Foam hired a certified HERS energy rater, a third-party auditor accredited by the US government, to run a before and after blower door test on a standard home in Kansas. The home had fiberglass insulation at the rim joist, standard construction, totally typical. They measured the baseline, sprayed expanding foam into the rim joist area, and ran the test again. Air infiltration across the entire house dropped by 11.4%. Estimated heating and cooling cost savings, 19.3%. And the engineer calculated that the total leakage area eliminated was 36.8 square inches, the size of a brick. Sealing that one area did the equivalent of closing a brick-sized hole in the side of the house. Building Science Corporation, the research organization that has effectively written the modern American rulebook on home building, has documented this exact pathway for 3 decades. Joseph Listabarek, their lead engineer, calls the seam where the wood framing meets the concrete foundation the critical seal of a building envelope. It is one of the single most studied air leak locations in residential construction science, and most homeowners have never heard of it. So let me show you exactly what is happening, because once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Your house is a chimney, not metaphorically, physically. When the air inside is warmer than the air outside, the warm air rises. It leaks out through every small opening in your attic. Recessed lights, attic hatches, ceiling penetrations around bathroom fans and plumbing stacks. As that warm air escapes through the top of the house, it creates negative pressure inside, and that negative pressure has to be filled. So cold, outside air gets pulled in through every opening at the bottom of the house. The lowest major opening in most American homes is the seam where the wooden floor framing sits on the concrete foundation. A dozen tiny gaps multiplied across the entire perimeter of your house, where the sill plate meets the concrete, where the rim joist meets the sill plate, where the subfloor meets the rim joist, around every pipe, wire, and vent that punches through the framing. The whole thing runs on temperature difference. The bigger the gap between inside and outside, the harder it runs. January in Ohio, you have a low-grade chimney, inhaling cold air through your basement and exhaling warm air out your roof, all day, all night. Your furnace is not heating your house, it is heating a draft. Now, Here is the part that stopped me when I was researching this. Your house is probably not uninsulated at the rim joist. If you look up there right now, you might see pieces of pink or yellow fiberglass stuffed into the gaps between the floor joists. Builders have been doing that for 60 years. It is what they have always done. It does almost nothing for the leak. Fiberglass is a thermal barrier, not an air barrier. Air passes right through it. Think of it like a furnace filter. It slows air down, it catches dust, but it does not stop air from moving. The gaps behind the fiberglass are still wide open. And because fiberglass lets warm, indoor air reach the cold wood behind it, in cold climates the wood gets damp, then it stays damp, and eventually it rots. Fine Home Building magazine has documented cases of builders pulling fiberglass bats out of 30-year-old rim joists and finding the lumber behind them dark and beginning to decay. The insulation the homeowner thought was protecting their house had been sitting there, letting air through the whole time, trapping moisture against the structure it was supposed to be protecting. This is the part that stopped me. The standard fix has been worse than nothing. For 60 years, installed in tens of millions of American homes, done exactly the way it was supposed to be done, and it was the wrong thing the entire time. Now let me put some numbers on what actually solves it. A 12-ounce can of great stuff, expanding foam at Home Depot, is $4.48. A typical house needs 2 to 3 cans to air seal the entire rim joist perimeter. Every gap, every seam, every pipe penetration. That is $10 to $15 in materials for a complete air seal of the single biggest infiltration point in the building. Add 2 sheets of 2-inch rigid foam board for R value, and you are at $60 to $80 total. Half an afternoon of work. Call a professional spray foam contractor for the same job, $1,300 to $3,000. Call an HVAC technician about your cold floors, and the conversation goes somewhere completely different. New furnace, upgraded attic insulation, a fresh set of ductwork. $5,000, $10,000, $15,000. And meanwhile, the leak itself is costing you somewhere around $250 to $400 a year in extra heating and cooling every year for as long as you own the house. On a 30-year mortgage, that is over $10,000 in energy paid to condition air that leaked out of your basement before your thermostat ever saw it. The $10 answer is never in any of these conversations. If you want to know whether your house has this problem specifically, not in theory right now, there is a test that takes 30 seconds. Light a stick of incense or a candle on a cold or windy day. Hold it near the seam where your foundation wall meets the wooden framing. Watch what the smoke does. If the smoke pulls sideways toward the wall, you have active air infiltration right there. Move the incense along the perimeter. Every place the smoke tilts, there is a leak. This is the homeowner version of what a certified energy auditor does with a professional smoke pencil during a blower door test. Same principle, same result, $0. Most basements, you will find leaks within 30 seconds. So why is this not everywhere? Nobody buried this. I want to be straight with you about that. Building Science Corporation has been publishing on rim joists since the 1990s. Energy Star promotes it. The 2012 International Residential Code made rim joist air sealing a requirement in new construction. That was 14 years ago. In 14 years, nobody has knocked on your door to tell you about it. The information has been sitting there. It just is not where you would ever see it. Walk through the actual path a homeowner follows when they notice cold floors. They call an HVAC company. The HVAC tech makes more on a furnace than on a diagnostic. The insulation contractor's minimum job is $1,300 because the truck, the rig, and the insurance only pencil out on bigger work. The utility company makes more when your heater runs longer. The homeowner is the only person in the chain who would benefit from hearing about the $10 can of foam, and the homeowner is the only person not in the room. This is not suppression. It is just that every arrow in the system points somewhere other than the one answer that would actually help. A few things worth knowing if you want to do this yourself. This is not a silver bullet. If your attic leaks too, you need to seal that as well. The stack effect runs on a top and a bottom, and sealing only one end moves the problem instead of fixing it. Energy Star's guidance is to seal the attic first, then the basement in that order, because holes up high leak more air than holes down low. The rim joist is the biggest leak at the bottom. It is not the only leak in the house. Second, and this one matters, if you have a natural draft gas furnace, gas water heater, or any combustion appliance that vents up a chimney, sealing air leaks reduces how much makeup air is available for that appliance to draft properly. In rare cases, an airtight house with a natural draft appliance can backdraft, which means combustion gases, including carbon monoxide, get pulled back into the house instead of up the chimney. The fix is straightforward. Make sure you have a working CO detector on every floor. And if your appliances are old, naturally vented units, have a technician verify draft performance after you seal. Sealed combustion and direct vent appliances are not affected. Known issue, solvable, not a reason to skip the project. Third, smooth wall foam with a straw applicator is better than gun-applied foam for a first-time DIY. Wear nitrile gloves and eye protection. The foam bonds to skin and takes 2 weeks to wear off. In cold climates, use closed-cell foam. In milder climates, open cell works. If your gaps are wider than 1 inch, cut a piece of rigid foam board to fit and seal the edges with the can. Foam will not span wide gaps on its own. Here is what actually doing this looks like. You go down to your basement on a Saturday morning. You walk over to the wall. You look up. You see it now. The concrete wall, then the wooden sill plate sitting on top of it, then the rim joist running around the entire perimeter, with the floor joists of the room above meeting it every 16 inches. Between the joists, each section is called a joist bay. If you're looking at fiberglass shoved in there, pull it out, throw it away. What was in there was never doing the job you thought it was doing. Shake the can, attach the straw. Start in one corner. Spray a slow bead along the seam where the sill plate meets the concrete. Work your way around the perimeter. Then spray where the rim joist meets the sill plate. Then, in each joist bay, spray the small gaps where the subfloor meets the rim joist. Anywhere a wire or pipe penetrates the framing, fill around it. Do not worry about making it pretty. Nobody is ever going to see it. You are not decorating. You are plugging a hole. 2 hours. Maybe 3 if the house is big. The foam cures overnight. Now it is February. Cold outside. You walk down to the basement for a reason that has nothing to do with the rim joist. You are looking for a screwdriver or checking the breaker panel. You stop. There is something different about the room. It takes you a second to identify what it is. The faint, constant draft you had stopped noticing years ago is gone. The basement is quieter. The sound of air moving through gaps, which had been part of the house for as long as you lived there, is no longer part of the house. Upstairs the next morning, you walk into the kitchen in bare feet. The floor is not warm. The tile is always going to feel cool, but it is not the biting, heat-sucking cold of a floor with 20-degree air being pulled past it from below. The furnace cycled once overnight instead of 6 times. Your next gas bill, the number is lower. Maybe $20, maybe $40. Multiply that by the heating season. Multiply that by the remaining life of the house. This is what $10 of foam and 2 hours of a Saturday bought you. The biggest air leak in your house is not behind a wall. It is not under the slab. It is not something you have to cut drywall to reach. It is 8 inches of exposed wood sitting on top of your foundation in plain sight, and almost every homeowner in America has walked past it 1,000 times without knowing what they were looking at. The fix is on the bottom shelf of the insulation aisle at every hardware store in the country for less than the cost of lunch. It has been there for decades. If that is the kind of thing worth knowing, subscribe. There is more coming.